Hello partners, welcome to the July partner training. I cannot believe it's July. I hope everyone is having a great summer so far. If you're on vacation and watching this in later time, I hope you have a great vacation. We'll go ahead and jump in and run through some program announcements, and then we'll hop into our launches and hopefully end before an hour. All right, to kick things off, if you've joined us before, you know it's the first thing we start with. We want to talk about confidentiality to start. Everything that you see here, we've tried to make it really clear when it's confidential or not. So if it's publicly launched, please go talk about it to your clients, post about it. If it's in beta, there's an NDA required before you can talk to your clients about that, and please don't post publicly. And then if there's anything that isn't clear, please reach out to me first before sharing. I'm always happy to answer questions around confidentiality. Next up, a quick note on product release dates and availability. So as you know, I try and tell you guys when things are releasing. To the best of our knowledge, things do change though, so take a look at those release notes that are available for each product. I also will try and cycle back through updates that maybe have gotten delayed more than usual to let you know on the release dates. So I have a couple of those for you this training. All right, questions. So we'll leave time at the end for questions. I have posted a link in the YouTube chat window. Please post questions to that link, not to the chat window. Unfortunately, I'm not able to check the chat window during the training. So if any questions get posted there, we're going to miss them. I've also gotten some feedback that it's the link, when you click it, it actually leads to an error page. I've confirmed that can happen. So what you're going to want to do is if you load that link and you're getting a 404, please actually type in the characters in the URL, the like goo.gl link. Type that in and you'll get the live page. So there's something funny going on with the copy paste there. So actually type in the characters if you find an error. Okay. Let's hop over to program announcements. I have a lot of announcements for you, all relating to the upcoming Partner Summit. All right, so as I said, lots of announcements around the Partner Summit. First things first, registration is complete. We hope you are registered. We have a lot of partners coming from all over the world, which is really exciting to the summit this August. In terms of next steps, if you're a registered partner, we're going to be sending out a event website prior to the event opening up. So you'll be getting an email about that, about how to access that website, which will have more information on the agenda, navigating the actual space, which is at the Fairmont Hotel, and more. There's two other events I wanted to call out that are taking place either in conjunction with the summit or as a related event. The first one is a women's leadership reception that's actually going to be taking place the night before the summit, so on Tuesday. Any women attending the summit are invited to attend and should have already received an invitation from me. You actually do need to register when you get that invitation. It's a little bit confusing, and this is the same for the immersion day that I'll talk about next. When you get the invitation, there's a code and a link that says registered. You put that code in with your URL, with your email. You're like, great, I'm done. You're actually not. You need to, once you load that page, there's actually a link that says register here with a separate small form that asks things around your name, company, etc. Once you complete that actual registration form, you'll get a confirmation email. So if you haven't received a confirmation email for that event, you haven't registered, even if you've loaded up that site. So make sure that you do the secondary step of clicking the register here link. Registrations are going to close this Friday, so the 21st, so make sure you get your registration in so we can provide you a seat at that event. Next up is the Google Optimize and Tag Manager Immersion Day. So this is something that we are running as a kind of an additional event next to the summit. It's actually taking place the Friday after the summit, so September 1st in San Francisco. And this is a day that's being hosted by our Optimize and Tag Manager teams, where they're really going to spend some more time covering the products and what we'll be able to do at the summit itself. There are a really limited number of seats at this event, unfortunately. So we only have seats for about 100 partners. So a lot of people were interested, and unfortunately we weren't able to honor all of those interest requests. So if you did receive an invite for this, that same process applies as for the women's leadership event. You should have received an email saying make sure you register with a code. Once you put that code in, that actually loads up the page. You still need to click register here to complete that registration process. So if you have a confirmation email, you're in good shape. If you have not received a confirmation email from that event saying you registered, please double check that you've actually completed that full process. Same due date, so the registrations are due on this Friday, July 21st. So make sure that you actually have that process completed by Friday. All right, couple more updates on the summit, as I promised. Lots of updates here. These are little fun updates I wanted to notify you all about. So the first one is that we are going to be doing some filming for the summit, and we want your participation. So if you like to be a star and want to be in front of the camera, or if you don't want to be a star but just want have some extra time on your hands when you get to San Francisco, we would love to have an hour of your time on Tuesday the 29th. Let us know if you're going to be around, and we'll have 60 minutes. We'll be doing some light filming in the city. You just need to sign up or express interest using the sign up form here. That's also on the Partner Resource Hub, GACP Connect. It's available there as well. And we will be reaching out to coordinate scheduling on the actual 29th. We'll get that scheduling out beforehand, but the filming will take place on the 29th. Next up, I wanted to talk about a form that you will be receiving soon. So we have our agenda set, and now we're going through the process of figuring out which sessions go into which rooms during the event. And we want to get your feedback on which ones you're most excited about so we can make sure that those get slotted into our largest rooms. So you'll be getting an email with some questions around which sessions you're interested in attending. It's not binding, but it helps us gauge interest in the different topics that we're going to be talking about. So stay on the lookout for that coming soon. Last but not least, the August partner training is going to be moved to an email update. As you can imagine, we have a lot of prep going on for the summit at the end of the month. So given that it's just about a week and a half difference between the normal scheduled training and the summit, we're going to go ahead and move this monthly training to an email in August, and then we'll be back for our regular scheduled programming in September. Whew. Okay, lots of updates. Let's go ahead and check out our agenda and then jump into launches. Oh, just kidding. We have more. All right, I forgot I snuck this in here. Really quickly, I've gotten some questions around timing as people are booking travel. They want to make sure that they're there for at the right time for the summit. So I've put together a very high level just overview of when everything is taking place. So if you're just attending the 2-day summit event, that's pretty much from 9 to 5 both days on the 30th and 31st. You'll hopefully be arriving the night before, so you don't have to arrive and then run through registration and hit the summit by 9. So there will be some registration open on the 29th for those that are arriving a bit early. We'll also be doing some registration day of. If you're attending the Women's Leadership Reception, again, that's Tuesday. That starts at 4 p.m., runs from 4 to 6 at our Google San Francisco office. And then if you're attending the Immersion Day, that's on Friday. That's a full day event from 9 to 5. There is a small reception at the end. On Wednesday at the Partner Summit, I did want to call out that there will actually be a reception to kick things off. So starting around 5:30 on Wednesday, we'll have a reception from 5:30 to 7:30 or so. So if you're making dinner plans, you might want to accommodate that reception if you'd like to attend. Okay, now I think I'm actually done with the announcements, and we'll jump over to the agenda. Okay, taking a look at the agenda, we have a fair amount of things to cover on the standard side and a couple updates on the 360 side as well. Several of these are actually reminders where the launches have moved quite a bit, so I wanted to bring these back up to your attention. So we'll hopefully move pretty quickly through most of these. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into Google Analytics. Standard, we'll start there. All right, the first launch that we have for you is an update to our existing User Explorer report. So within the User Explorer report, you all know that you can start actually drilling into user level analysis, which was an incredible update. With this update, we are actually adding LTV or lifetime value metrics into the report. In the screenshot here, you'll see on kind of the top bar that there's some metrics that are highlighted. This is where the new, not new, but the LTV metrics will go. We're starting this rollout actually this week, so you should start seeing this pop up in accounts. A couple notes that I wanted to call out to you here is that the LTV is available from December 2016 onward. So it's not a predictive LTV, it's actually based on historical data. And then something that I just want to call out from like a workflow perspective is that there's actually several metrics that are available, but you have to scroll to get them. So there's a little arrow on the right-hand side when you're using that report. Make sure you toggle over to the end if you want to check out all the metrics. We're, again, doing a percent rollout here. We're actually at 50%, this week. So you should have this in your accounts very soon. And our Help Center is updated to support this launch. So start using these new LTV metrics in the User Explorer report today. Okay, next launch is a update. It's an exciting one. We've talked about Analytics Intelligence in the past. Analytics Intelligence is a new functionality that's rolling out to the web. This has been available in the mobile app for analytics for a while, and it allows you to do two things. It allows you to ask questions in normal language, and it also surfaces insights to you automatically based on your data. So this was available in the app for analytics and now has moved into the web. We had a blog post about it yesterday and have started rolling out to 10% of accounts today or this week. So you'll start seeing this show up, and because we've blogged about it, you guys can start talking to your customers about it. You can talk about it publicly. We're really excited for this launch as it's really kind of the next generation of intelligence and analytics. I did call this out in past trainings, but I'll really quickly highlight it again. We're continuing to adjust our models and adjust what we surface here for you. So there is a little option to tell us, was this helpful or not? And if you give us feedback, we'll actually take that into account as we continue to iterate on this feature. Check out the blog post. There's a lot more information on this launch available there. Okay, next up. Another update that I've covered in the past but wanted to resurface since it's been delayed a little bit. So this update is around audiences and reporting. As you might remember, this is the launch where instead of taking a remarketing list and pushing it to AdWords, you actually can create an audience in analytics and actually share that directly with analytics, so you can get great reporting on that audience there. This was meant to go out earlier this year. It's actually been delayed a little bit, and we're targeting to go to a % launch in August. So I'd seen some questions float around this particular launch. I just wanted to let you know that we still are moving forward with it. It's just delayed a little bit longer than planned. Because it's delayed a little bit longer than planned, we do have the beta available. So if you are really keen to get this, you can sign up for the beta. It's available in the partner beta tracker on the partner site. Couple call outs on this. We're not enabling people every week, so there might be a little bit of a delay between when you sign up and when you're enabled, but we are taking some enablement requests for this beta prior to the public launch. Because this isn't publicly launched yet, please don't share this with the public or with clients that aren't under NDA. Okay. That's it for analytics. We're going to go ahead and switch over to Tag Manager. I just have a couple quick reminders for you all here, so this should be a pretty quick section. Okay, for Tag Manager. So last month we had Scott Herman, the Tag Manager Product Manager, it's a mouthful, come join us, and he talked about both container zones, which is a new feature coming to Tag Manager 360, as well as enhanced e-commerce support within Tag Manager for apps. We had promised that both of these would be up on the beta tracker for partners. There's a little delay there, but I'm happy to let you know that both are available for sign up. So if you head to the beta tracker either through these links once this is shared, or if you just go to the partner resource site, you'll see the beta tracker there. You can sign up. A couple notes. So when we run a beta, there's always the sign up period, and then we actually start enabling accounts. So there is a little bit of a delay between the sign up and the enablement, and we're targeting to actually enable folks this month. You might have a week or two wait before you're actually enabled for this. In terms of learning more, check out the June partner training. I won't go over those details again because Scott did a great job of running through both of these features. Okay, moving right along, we're going to head over to Data Studio. Per usual, Data Studio has launched a bunch of updates, so I've got pretty much a list of updates I wanted to run by you all. I called them a flurry of launches here. So here we go. There's a bunch that is launched. I would call out, I actually just grabbed what I would consider launches that you're going to be really keen to see. There's also a bunch of other updates that have been happening that I haven't captured here. So my first thing I would say is actually check out the Data Studio release notes for a full rundown on everything that's launched. There's a bunch of small updates that are going to make your life easier, but aren't covered here. So the first one I wanted to talk about is data control. This is an awesome new feature that actually allows you to put a control in your reports so you can toggle back and forth between views. You all know, since you're our Power users, that when you were creating a report previously, it was tied to a single view and you had to create multiple reports if you wanted to see it in multiple views or kind of do some formatting finagling. This will make it much easier for you to move a report between one view and another. And you can actually add multiple data controls to a report. So a lot of flexibility and much easier reporting for folks that have access to multiple views. So start testing that out today with reports that you're creating for your clients. It's launched to all accounts. The next two updates were ones I just wanted to quickly call out because I had seen a lot of comments around them on an internal group that looks at that works on Data Studio around linking. So there's two things. One is that we now support a new field type of URL. So every time you load up data into our system, we try and figure out what the data is. If we see URLs, we'll automatically categorize those URLs as URLs. So that should help with loading up your data. And then secondly, you can actually create custom functions using a new function for hyperlinks. So if you actually want to create your own links, or if you have a link that wasn't correctly categorized by us, you can actually set something as a link. So again, check out the Data Studio release notes. There's more in there. That team is launching a lot of new updates each week. So talking about what's coming soon, there's a list of things that are coming soon. I do want to call out that the dates here aren't quite as firm, so things might come a little bit sooner or might actually take place closer to end of August, but I wanted to put these on your radar now so you know that we're working on them. Number one is pivot tables, and everyone is really excited for that. We're targeting to have that launched by end of month August. It could come a little earlier. There's a couple updates to tables themselves. We're doing summary rows and percent totals for tables. Those are all in progress and should be rolling out soon. Embedded tables. This is something that we actually talked about last time, where you can actually embed a report or in a web view. We're working on getting that out soon, so it's a little bit delayed from the last time we chatted. And then the last one is a new connector. We're working on a cloud storage data connector, so you can directly connect to cloud storage. And that is also targeting end of month August. So be on the lookout for these and check those release notes. Okay, next up, Optimize. So I'm personally really excited to talk to you all about Optimize and this launch in particular that we have coming up, as I've actually been working on the product management side on this launch. So we'll take a look at our One Optimize launch. So this launch is called Custom Objectives, and it is the #1 feature request for Optimize that we've seen. So you probably are not interested in this, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Back when we were alpha testing Optimize, I was working really closely with the Optimize team, and I actually filed this feature request. So it's been really fun to see it come from being filed originally to actually being built and going to beta this month. So what is it? One of the big asks that we hear around Optimize is the ability to actually create additional objectives in Optimize. So as you know, right now we have system objectives that are automatically generated for you, things like transactions, bounce rate. And then we also import your goals from that linked analytics view. But we got a lot of feedback that we need to have some more flexibility there so you can create objectives on the fly that are specific to that experiment. So custom objectives will let you do just that. So what you'll be able to do is actually create objectives based on your linked analytics data. We're starting with 2 types to start, which is events and page URL. I'll talk a little bit more about that configuration in just a second, but in terms of the status, we are in a closed beta right now. So we're going to close beta this month, and then we're targeting to open it up publicly a little bit later this quarter, both to standard and 360 accounts. So let's take a look at the actual configuration. So as I mentioned, we're starting with 2 types. So with custom objectives, you'll be able to create an objective that's based on events or an objective that's based on a page URL. With an event, you can filter based on event category, action, label, value, as well as page URL. So that gives a lot of flexibility if you want to say if an event fired on a particular page, you can configure that with custom objectives. And then events itself is pages itself is pretty straightforward. You can set any page as your objective. There's a couple good to knows. Number one is that we're focusing on getting this feature out to you all, so we didn't create a library for these custom objectives to start. So what that means is they're not shareable between experiments, or they're not like a saved entity. They're tied to that particular experiment. So if you do want to reuse a custom objective, you can either just recreate it for that experiment, or if you want to copy the full experiment, you can always just duplicate that experiment and it'll copy everything over. Another ask that we heard was around configuring once per session versus many per session. So you all know in goals, everything is incremented just once per session. So we are now actually supporting once per session and many per session with custom objectives. So when you configure that objective, you'll say, how do you want this to be counted, whether it's incremented once or incremented every time. And this flows through into the statistical model that we use for that particular experiment. And then last but not least, as I mentioned, we're starting with event-based custom objectives and page custom objectives. We're still looking at supporting e-commerce objectives natively within this project, so you would have all of your e-commerce ready to be configured. So we're still collecting some data and use cases for that. But in the meantime, based on your configuration, if you're using enhanced e-commerce and sending a lot of that data with your events, you should be able to use our events function to support enhanced e-commerce objective types. All right, so that's it for Optimize, and let's go ahead and head to the next product area. So we do have 2 updates within Firebase that I wanted to walk through with you all. As I mentioned, we're going to start incorporating Firebase and then ultimately things like attribution into this training. So let's take a look at 2 quick Firebase launches. All right, so this launch is something that actually was announced at I/O. It's custom parameters and reporting in Firebase. I realized I never covered this in this training, so I wanted to call this out to you all in case it wasn't on your radar. If it is, great, you're ahead of me. So the launch allows you to both send custom parameters with events as well as actually report on that in the native Firebase UI. There's a couple notes that I would call out here. One is that once you set those up in your actual reporting with the SDK, you also have to actually enable them in the UI. You have to tell us which parameters you want to report on. So there is a little configuration in the UI. And then once those custom parameters are actually configured in the UI, there's about a 24-hour window from when we'll see data start reporting. So if you have it set up, there is a little bit of a lag before you'll actually start seeing that data pipe through. In terms of enablement, again, I mentioned this went out actually a couple months ago, so I apologize for not getting this flagged earlier, but it's available to all customers using Firebase. And then for resources, there's a great help center, and DevDocs are also all updated for this new functionality. Okay, then moving on to the next update within Firebase, I had a beta opportunity I want to share with you all. So we are working on a DBM integration with Firebase, or GA for Firebase. What this will allow you to do is, like most of our other integrations, it'll allow you to seamlessly link the 2 products and pass data back and forth both ways. So data will be attributed to DBM ads in Firebase, and then Firebase conversions like app installs will move back into DBM. There's a lot of reasons why this is a great option for DBM and Firebase customers. It's really seamless, as I mentioned, to have those conversions move back and forth. There's no manual creation needed. There's a really secure linking flow that follows a similar flow as we see across other products like AdWords and Analytics. And then finally, it's very app-centric, so it's really leveraging our app-centric platform. I want to spend a moment talking about enablement. So I always am trying to get everything in that beta tracker for you all to sign up for, so you have that one-stop shop for betas. Unfortunately, this one is really being run by our DBM team, so we don't have that beta in our partner beta tracker. As a result, If you have a client that is both using Firebase and DBM and would be a good fit to test with this beta, we're going to ask you to actually reach out to the client's DBM team. So they'll have contacts that they work with, and the DBM folks are going to be the folks to work on getting this beta enabled. If you have questions, hopefully you can work with your client's DBM team on getting this enabled and set up. In terms of confidentiality, quick call out, this is under beta, so you can talk to your clients about it, but they need to be under NDA with Google. Whew, okay, so we have a couple updates on the 360 side that I'll run through, and then we're going to spend just a couple moments talking about some technical issues and resources that you might need, and then finally we'll jump into Q&A. So hopefully we'll have plenty of time for that. Okay, let's take a look at the Suite core. So we have a quick update for you all here on functionality that again lives at what we call the Suite core, which is your 360 suite.google.com. That's really your home page to your organization. So a while back we launched functionality where you can take remove analytics users directly from the Suite homepage if you are an admin on that organization. So this is helpful if you are trying to do some auditing and want to clean folks up from your accounts. Rather than having to go into analytics to remove somebody, you can actually remove them directly from the Suite home UI. We've now extended this to Optimize and Tag Manager as well. So as we're building out auditing capabilities for users, this will make it easy as you identify users maybe that have left the company or should no longer have access. Again, you can just remove them quickly from the account here. There's a screenshot of that on the right-hand side of the screen here. You'll see as you are looking at a particular user, you can click Remove from Google Analytics, Tag Manager, and so forth. I call this out that this is great just for auditing capabilities. It's also important if you want to remove somebody from the org level as well. They need to be removed from the underlying product accounts. And then finally, I wanted just to say that we're still working on this feature. We're also giving the ability for org admins or owners, as they were formerly called, to actually access the product access pages. So this is coming soon. It's not built just yet, but there's going to be more updates to this space soon. This is live now, so you can start taking use of this functionality for any 360 Suite orgs. And again, you need to be an admin or have a user admin role. Resources, check out the 360 Suite Help Center for more information on this feature. Okay, we are going to switch over to Analytics 360. I have a couple updates for you here, some of which are ones we've covered before, but a couple that are brand new. So let's take a look. All right, the streaming BigQuery export. I've covered this a couple times because I know that this is an exciting feature for folks. This feature will allow you to actually stream in real time your data from analytics into BigQuery and would be a replacement for our current options around multi-day aggregation. A quick update, this has been a bit delayed. We're targeting actually to go to 10% this week. I know that was actually targeted, I think, for May originally, so we've seen a little bit of a delay here, but we're still moving forward with this. We're targeting to get to 10% this week, and that would put us at about 100% of accounts by end of month August. So over the next 6 weeks or so, you should start seeing this hit all accounts. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this feature. There's a lot of information on this in our archives, but this will be a great option for you if you really want that real-time data from analytics into your BigQuery project. Okay, another BigQuery update for you all. We have updated our BigQuery schema now to support session quality. If you're familiar with this metric, it's a metric that scores the quality of a session from 0 to 100, 100 being a really quality session that's likely to convert for you, 0 being either no score or the low end, we don't think it's a very high quality session. So this is now going to be available in the export, or excuse me, it is available in the export for you to start using. There's a great use case that is kind of walked through here, but it really allows you to get a lot of detail on your sessions and start looking at metrics outside of just pure transactions. We're really taking into a lot of account different metrics to help us score those sessions for you. One quick note on eligibility. So session quality, if you're familiar with it in the GA UI, there is some data that we need before we can actually start scoring sessions. So I'm pretty sure, I know this is in the Help Center, I think it's like 30 days, 1,000 transactions, somewhere along those lines that we need of data before we can actually start scoring. So those same, the rules that apply is that if it's not being scored in the UI, it's not going to be piped through into the BigQuery export. So it's not something that's available there if it's not available in the UI. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about this metric and taking a look at the export. All right, last Analytics 360 update is an update to custom tables. Custom tables now supports the user metric. So this is a great update, as I know that a lot of folks are big fans of custom tables, but there was a limitation around having that user metric in there. So you can start using the user metric, new users in your custom tables today as it's launched. I do want to quickly call out there still is a limitation around user level segments. They can't be applied at this time to a custom table. We have a help center on custom tables. I took a look this morning. It hasn't been updated just yet. So we'll get that help center updated so we remove that limitation for you so you can start using custom tables and user level or user metrics in them today. All right, that is it for our product updates. I cruised through that in 30 minutes, which is pretty good, so that we have plenty of time for questions at the end. But before we jump to questions, I'm going to really quickly just do a roundup of some technical issues that we've seen, as well as call out resources for you. So quick plug, drop your questions into the link, type it in if you're getting an error, and we'll get to those in just a second. So as a quick recap, I started this technical issues section last month. I'm trying to kind of play around with ways to surface technical issues to you that I know are priorities for you all and get you all updates because I know the forums can get pretty busy. So we're continuing to look into other options to do this, but we're testing this out for now. So let's take a quick look. There's 4 that I wanted to call out to you. As you can imagine, there's tons of issues that are always happening, but I'm looking at the ones that are top priority or that I've seen have a lot of visibility in our user or in our partner forums. So 3 I wanted to call out that are fixed that might have impacted you all. There was an issue loading the DBM and DCM reports in the UI. That's fixed. There was an issue back in June that impacted Google CPC and an increase in not set. This issue was fixed, and then this kind of secondary piece of it is that we are reprocessing data from that issue for 360 customers. So the issue is fixed and reprocessing is complete for 360 customers. With an asterisk, there's a very small number of properties. It's under 5 properties that we're still working on. So if you're working with a client on one of those 5 properties, then I'm sure you're working with our support team on that, but everyone else is reprocessed. There were some issues with custom reports not sticking or not loading or kind of being sticky, and those issues have been resolved. And then the last one I wanted to call out that is not fixed. There is still an ongoing issue where we're seeing sampling in standard app properties when we wouldn't expect to see sampling. That issue is still being looked at, and to be frank, I'm really working on trying to raise the priority of that issue as I know it's coming up in a lot of accounts. So we're continuing to work on that, and I'll keep you guys posted as work on that issue moves along. Okay, that is it for our technical release recap or roundup. We're going to go ahead and pop over and take a look at some new resources. And again, as a recap for this area, this is where I'm just flagging resources I think would be helpful to know that they're on your radar. So for this particular update, we have 3 new resources under kind of one heading. We have really nice, what we're calling capability briefs that are going to be coming to the 360 marketing website. So that's if you are on our website learning about different products, we'll call that the marketing website. And we have a bunch of different resources there where you can see different case studies and tools. And these briefs will be loaded up onto that site soon. In the meantime, I've linked them here for you and shared them with our partner program group so you can access them. They're externally shareable, so you can share them with your clients. You can use them in pitches that you might have. So these are available for your use. And then again, we'll be coming to that marketing website soon. So that kind of is that one-stop shop for all of collateral that is kind of this type. The last thing I would say here on resources, we are working on some Firebase material. This has been an ask I know you all have had, and I've promised that I'll get you guys resources on this. We have 2 resources that are should be shared within the next 2 weeks that I'm really excited about. One is really a kind of a comprehensive review and training on Firebase, and then the second one is more on the lines of a migration guide. We're working on getting those shared out for you all, so stay tuned. They're in progress and will be in your hands soon. And with that, we're at Q&A. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our Q&A Dory, our Q&A list, and we'll try and work through some questions there. All right, good question from Patrick around the summit and the Optimize and Tag Manager Immersion Day. So 2 things. One is that on the summit itself, the 2-day event, I know that there's a limited number of seats for that event as well. We are planning on recording all of the sessions and are going to work to get those out to partners afterwards. Just a quick call out that a lot of the sessions will be under NDA, so it's not going to necessarily be something that you'll be able to share out more broadly than your team, but we're working on having those recordings available just for the summit itself. For the Optimize and Tag Manager Immersion Day, there are some open questions as to whether we'll record that. I'm pushing and trying to make that happen. I can't confirm that that's going to be the case, but we'll definitely share out as much materials as we can after that, just with really clear markers if it's confidential or not. So stay tuned. I'm doing my best to get that recorded, and hopefully we will be able to. All right, question about LTV and the user report. So couple things here. The LTV is always calculated based on whatever type view you're in. So if you're in a non-user ID view, that's based on how we calculate users normally with just client ID. Or the cookie, and then if you're in a user ID view, that LTV and then just the underlying user metric is determined by how you're setting the user ID. It's not using any Google account information at this time. Okay, question from Mark about custom objectives. So the custom objectives will not flow through to the GA experiments reports at this time. So the reporting on those, the configuration and the actual reporting on them is native to Optimize, and we don't have any plans to surface those in the experiments report at the moment. All right, Francisco has a question about Firebase. So question around which platform we're moving forward with. So right now, both platforms are still available. You've seen a lot of updates to the creation flow of a new app property in Analytics, where we surface kind of the Firebase option for you pretty prominently. So there is definitely a lot of investment in the Firebase platform. We have not made any plans to deprecate or turn down Analytics app reporting, as you all kind of know it historically. But I do just want to call out that the Firebase solution really is our app developer platform and is where a lot of our investment is going. In terms of any updates to this, we'll always make sure that you guys are in the loop. Okay. Okay, so question, another Firebase question. So question around Firebase e-commerce tracking. So there are some limitations with Firebase e-commerce tracking right now. The kind of first update that's happening, Francisco, is actually related to Tag Manager, where you can, there were some updates that were needed on the Firebase side. We're now with Tag Manager, you can use Tag Manager as your kind of data layer, where you can send data both to Firebase as well as the traditional analytics for apps. And that's where you can get your kind of full e-commerce reporting. In terms of filling out the e-commerce reporting in Firebase, that's on our radar. I can't comment as to where that stands in terms of prioritizations or timelines, but we know that that's an ask we're hearing from a lot of folks. So for right now, the Firebase the Tag Manager beta using enhanced e-commerce will allow you to send data to both platforms where you can get that e-commerce reporting in Analytics and still have your Firebase native reporting in Firebase. Okay, let's see here. I think we're pretty good on questions. Let me do one more quick scroll. All right. That is it, folks. So I'm so happy we were able to end a little early today. So 20 more minutes back in your day. Thank you for joining us. Again, as a quick reminder, the August edition of this training will be moved to email so we can really focus on that summit at the end of August. And then we'll be back for our regular scheduled programming in September. So until then, everyone have great summers, great breaks if you're taking some vacation, and hopefully we'll see you in August at the Fairmont Hotel. Have a good one.